Hi everyone, I made 3 dresses this week. Okay, I finished 3 dresses this week. My name's Maria. This is my version of FridaySews. I'm known as VeloSews on social media, and thank you for joining me today. I'm currently wearing the 3rd dress that I made this week, so let me tell you about it. I've used New Look 6000. This was printed in 2011 and I've used it a lot. Not so much recently because the trend to wear fitted dresses pretty much fell away when we were all in lockdown. So this fabric is I think it's black watch tartan. I've had it in my stash for a very, very long time. When I went to high school, the senior's jacket was made out of black watch. Black watch has been the most easily obtainable tartan locally. And I think that's why I've had this fabric in my stash for decades, as well as another version which is more coating weight. Because I'm going to Scottish Frocktails, my vision was always to make this fabric so that I could wear it to Frocktails, but I wasn't too sure what pattern to use, and that's why I've used New Look 6000. So I did a test version of New Look 6000, and the reason being is I had the sleeves in this fabric that I had applied to the dress that I was working on last week that I didn't show you. Then I finally found that I could find enough mesh and linen for the sleeve, and so I thought, what am I going to do with the sleeves? That's the whole story of this dress. So what I like about New Look 6000 is I've been able to test it and made an adjustment where I've raised the bust dart by an inch. The bust dart seemed to be below my bust point, not to the side of my bust point. The nice thing about this tartan is that I was able to match it all the way around, and I've made it fit me. I haven't bothered with matching the tartan down along the sleeves, but I like it, and I think this is the dress that I'm going to wear to Scottish Frocktails in September. So what I'm going to show you here is the teal black version of New Look 6000. So again, the reason I did it in black as well as teal is because, again, both of these fabrics were in my stash. I had used the teal for sleeves on the floral linen dress, the Amelia dress. So I thought, what am I going to do with the sleeves? So I decided, yeah, let me just try New Look 6000 and give it a test. So this is now my wearable toile. The 3 buttons that I've got on the collar, again, were in my stash. I've got a stack of them, and they seem to fit really well with the sort of shine, the dark shine on the fabric that I've used for the test version. The back of the dress, I chose a black, and I think it's a twill, it's sort of medium weight, and it was probably better for trousers, but that's what I had in my stash and it goes really well. So what I will do with that toile version is I'm going to line just the body, not the sleeves. The dress I'm currently wearing, I've lined both the body and the sleeves because I'm not too sure if this fabric is 100% poly. I've done the burn test, but it's got a bit of a wool feel to it. So look, maybe it was the way that the poly was manufactured, or maybe there is maybe 10% or 15% of wool in this particular tartan. Anyway, I like both versions, and I'm glad that I've tested New Look 6000 for my current body. So the Amelia dress in the linen mesh fabric that I made last week, as you can see here, it's finished, and I'm really pleased that I could wear it. That I could wear it with dark blue suede boots that I've had in my winter shoe box. And so what I really like about the Amelia dress is I can now safely use it on another fabric, and I do have that tie style brocade that I showed you last week, and I've done some work on the sort of lower part of the dress, and what I've done on the pattern, and I'll show you when it's actually finished, is I've done a split along the right hand side of the skirt. The split at the front is going to, hopefully, if this works out, I'll do the border, one of the borders of the fabric along that particular split. It won't be a high split, but it'll be a split, so at least I can walk with a straight skirt and straight sleeves. So this week on Sew Organised Style podcast, I've got Elaine Mackay, and she's the author of 19th Century Patterns for the Modern Body, and it really is a step-by-step guide. The reason I say that is because she teaches, she's worked at the V&A Museum, she's worked at various museums in Canada, she's got a lot of contacts when it comes to historical garments. She's put the research into this book, and part of the research that she did was actually for a student. So it is a really good educational guide for anybody, whether you are teaching people or are really passionate to learn more about historical garments. The step-by-step guide part that I'm referring to is in chapter 1. She felt that to be able to create historical garments, you really need to have your own basic blocks, and that's what she does. She shows you how to do your own blocks based on your own measurements. So let's see, where is the measurement guide? There you go. And that's all in chapter 1. Sleeves. These days, puffy sleeves, different shape sleeves, there are a lot of ways and there were a lot of ways in the 1800s that they were worn. So she talks about the foundation of sleeves. So you can do your own sleeves. What she's done is she's provided people with the ability to analyze what they see and come up with what they need for creating something similar based on what it is that you're trying to achieve. So there are a lot of questions and answers of what it is you should be looking for. She's done some really good work for the V&A Museum, and you'll hear that in the podcast. Then all of the examples, she goes through every decade within the 1800s. The examples that she's got in there are examples that have come from museums in Canada, because that's where she's based. So she's got some really good contacts. I encourage you, sorry, I should put the book down. I would encourage you to go to Sew Organised Style podcast on the weekend, because I'm doing a giveaway for the book, and Bloomsbury Publishing are very good at sending out winners their books straight away. So there'll be no delay. And so that's what was on Sew Organised Style podcast this week. On Sober 50, I'm on the account this week, and my post tomorrow is all about vintage patterns, would you believe? Interesting theme for this week. So hopefully you'll have a look at that post. So the post is about people in the Sober 50 community who create their own garments that are vintage inspired. Have a look. With Everything Frocktails, that account keeps chugging along. As new Frocktails events come up, I will always have them there. I will collaborate or tag with accounts that are at the point of selling tickets. Make sure you turn notifications on for Everything Frocktails. On to Mimiquins. If you live in Australia and you'd like to start the process to purchase your own Mimiquin custom dress form, I'm the body scanner for them in Australia. So I would encourage you to direct message me on Instagram or drop me an email so that I can come up with a date and a time and a venue so that I can do your body scan. And then that's the start of the process for Mimiquins to go ahead and create your own custom dress form. So the dress form behind me is stock standard, one that you can buy from any sewing retailer or any op shop. And that is adjustable, but this bust is not my bust. This bust is not where my bust point is. And as I said earlier, when I've been working on New Look 6000, I had to adjust the bust dart to basically sit where my bust is. On my Mimiquin, I can actually do that quite easily because it's my virtual body. If you are thinking about getting a custom dress form from Mimiquins, contact me directly. I can talk you through the process, and any questions that you've got about it, I'm more than happy to answer them, as are Hada and Mia at Mimiquins in the UK. Thank you for joining me on today's edition of Friday Sews. My name's Maria. I'm known as Sews on social media. I don't normally make 3 dresses in one week, but I just had all of these ideas and time this week to be able to work through the fitting issues and the fabrics that I had in my stash to come up with potentially 3 dresses to wear to a Frocktails in September. Have a good weekend and happy sewing. May your unpicker always be nearby. Cheers.